Secretary Shabana Mahmood has defended sweeping changes to the UK's asylum system. Measures include reducing the time a refugee can stay before they must reapply for asylum and removing financial support from families whose claims have failed. We're joined now by our chief political correspondent, Henry Zeffman. So, Henry, these plans are already facing fairly firm opposition. How long can the government hold the line?
Well, they're definitely going to have to hold the line for a while, because we're still a long way from the government holding crucial parliamentary votes on this issue. But I think we've got a preview of some of the arguments that there will come when these acts of parliament get proposed through the legislative process in the coming months. Yesterday, when Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary, defended her plans extensively, including against criticism from her own side in the House of Commons, and afterwards she spoke to our political editor, Chris Mason. Here's what she had to say.
I think the majority of people in the Labour Party were agreeing with what I was saying and want us to build a more compassionate system, a fairer system, a system with much more contribution. But look, politics is about making an argument, and it's about persuading people and winning that argument. Absolutely, I can say yes to that, because I think what we saw in the chamber today, yes, there was some disagreement, but the vast majority of my colleagues agree with me.
There were some elements that we already knew by yesterday afternoon, when Shabana Mahmood stood up, were going to be politically controversial within the Labour Party, let alone more generally. And there was an extra one that we learnt of yesterday, which is that the government wants to deport more families. They believe that the fact that the government, as it stands, doesn't prioritise the deportation of families, essentially because they have children, because those children have roots and have lives here in the UK, that creates, in the government's words, particularly perverse incentives. I think there's a lot of Labour MPs who are going to be a bit anxious about that. But more generally, I think some of those Labour MPs who are uneasy, who I was speaking to before Shabana Mahmood's statement, were pretty impressed by the way in which she defended her plans. Now, I think it's far too early to say whether this is shaping up to be another rebellion of the scale of the welfare rebellion which scuppered the government's plans in that area. But as it stands, it doesn't quite feel that way.